What is up, everyone? It's Horror Master, and I'm back. Yes, it's been gone for a couple of days. Work's been a pain in the ass and all that lot. But you know what? I had some time right now, and I was gonna do an rank 'em all, and I was thinking of which band to do. And if you can tell by the name of the title and the shirt that I'm wearing, I am doing another one of my favorite bands of all time. I'm talking about Finnish God Metal Masters Him. HIM stands for His Infernal Majesty. It was a band that was formed in 1991 by, of course, lead vocalist Ville Valo and bassist Mikko Mege. And I'm sorry if I mispronounced the last name. I'm not really much into no Finnish. Panenen, I think that's how it's named. So it was formed in 1991. It was just a two-man group, and then they kind of split up in, I want to say, 1993, and then they kind of reformed the band back in 95, of course, now with guitarist Mikko Linde Linderson, keyboardist Antonio Malensi, and of course drummer Johanna Paquita Rantalana, if I'm mispronouncing. That's considered one of the classic version of the group, which we will later create on to, of course, the first album and so on and so forth. And we will get some more members later in the group, of course. Gasly, of course, became drummer from 1999 to the end of the career, which unfortunately the band broke up in 20, if I remember correctly, 2017. Yeah, the band broke up in 2017, which I unfortunately never saw him live. So my story with him is one day I was just going through YouTube trying to find new music, and him just popped up. I've always heard of him, and I've always seen the logo, the heartogram, but I never understood why it was such a huge band. Of course, associated with goth metal, and of course I would used to see them a lot in a lot of skateboards, which later find out that, of course, Batman Jera and Billy Valo are, you know, almost best buds. They almost have a lot of the same tattoos and all that, to the point that Batman Jera produced, directed some of him's music videos. I think some of them from Love Metal, and some from, if I remember correctly, some videos from, I think they were all from Love Metal. Yeah, so basically around that, and also from, I think, from Deep Shadows, if I'm not remember correctly. But him is one of those bands that it's love metal. They create this kind of subgenre in a quote, but it's something that you associate it with him. And there's a lot of people that hate on him for some weird shit, which, you know what, I love him. Like I said, he's one of my favorite bands of all time, and there's nothing you can do about it. So screw you. But you know what? Enough jibber jabber. Let's get into the ranking model. So before I do the whole ranking model, so we have 8 albums here. I do want to bring up something. I do want to bring up just like quick honorable mention, or maybe not. But of course, I am talking about the Gothica Fanatica Volume 1 EP that was released in 2020. So when this EP dropped, I remember I was at work, and my friends started sending me a message. Hey, you gotta check this shit out. It's Ville Valo, kind of in the hymn style music, and I was like, I need to listen to this EP. So it was just 3 songs: Salute the Sanguini, Run Away from the Sun, Saturine Saturnia. And by the first note that I first started listening to it, I instantly was like, oh my god, some sort of version of him is gonna pop out. And because this was an EP, I was so excited because, like I said, I've never seen him live. I've always wanted to see him live, and I became a fan after they broke up. So I was so excited. Maybe Vileva was gonna do something or continue this, I guess, anthology or something. Because by the title Volume 1, I was like, there's probably gonna be like a Volume 2, 3, 4, etc., etc. So I was really, really excited. I don't know if there's gonna be an album in the future. It's been already, what, 2 years, close to 2 years, since nothing has been released or announced. But I hope that eventually we get new material from Ville Valo. Of course, we got his solo album, a solo album that he released after he left from him, which it's an okay album. It's not goth metal; it's more jazz oriented, which I don't mind, but it's not what a lot of him fans want. Which, like I said, I don't mind, but it's not the him that a lot of older fans grew up with, not the him that I discovered, but it's still enjoyable. It's still enjoyable. Enough of that. Let's get into the ranking. And I would just want to say this right now. Him has no bad albums. Just like I said with Swallow Sun, some bands don't have bad albums. They have great albums, but again, it's like picking your favorite kid. You gotta rank them all, which one's your least favorite to your most favorite. So again, this is my list. It's very subjective. So if you have your own ranking or your own kind of list, let me down in the comments. I would really like to see y'all guys' opinion because like I said, everyone has a different favorite album for different reasons and all that. So maybe my favorite album, Him of All Time, is probably your bottom, or maybe the lowest one that I have is probably your favorite. So let the conversation start. But again, just be respectful and all that, because again, it's my opinion. So don't start going, hey, why do you have this at number five? Why do you have it at the bottom? Like I said, Him has no bad albums. But enough of that. Let's get into the ranking. So at number 8, at the bottom of the barrel, and I said this is not a bad thing about the album. Like I said, him has no bad albums, but at number 8, I had to give it to, I had to give it to, shit, Screamworks, Love in Theory and Practice. Now, the reason I have this at the bottom of the list, again, nothing about the album, but when I first started getting into him, of course, I listened to every single album. And when I got into this album, something about it just wasn't what I was expecting. I was expecting, of course, it's still the typical him sound, but I don't want to say they went commercial, which him was never. Well, technically, they were kind of commercial in the 90s for a brief moment in time, but you know, this I felt was kind of a bit of a letdown. Of course, the songs are great. I mean, we have songs like Sacred to Dead, Heartseeker, Disarm Me with Your Loneliness, which is probably my favorite song of the album. Like Saint Valentine, but I felt that this album was the weakest one in their entire discography. For, sorry, for some reason, I took me a while to connect with this album, even though later on it became a grower. Which again, that's the thing about music. It sometimes it doesn't hit you at the moment. It just hits you right after you listen to them over and over again and becomes a grower. So again, nothing bad about this album. It's an enjoyable album. It's probably my lowest him album of all time. At number 7, a bit higher, we have of course Tears on Tape. Now this is the final album that him released. Unfortunately, this was released around 2013, and when this came out, there was a lot of buzz. Like this actually was a bit better than Screamworks because I guess it kind of wanted to go back to the roots, even though they still kind of kept the Screamworks sound, but it still was him at its core. We have songs like Love Without Tears, Into the Night, No Love, All Lips Go Blue. Those songs are amazing, and I think when they were on tour for this album, I think the majority of the songs that they were playing were from the album, which usually when bands go on tour, they, for an album, they play some of the new songs and they play the hits. With him in this case, they almost played like more than half of the set list was brand new him songs. So it gets to show you how much the band really, really loved this album, and it shows. Like I said, from Gassi to the drum to actually Mikko, the bassist, coming back for the band for this album, which again was a really thing that kind of was missing in probably in an album like Screamworks. That the Mikko Ville Valo combination, which, and not to mention Linda. My God, Linda's guitar work is like almost godlike. At number 6, we have Venus Moon. Now, I just want to say, Venus Moon, the album cover, A+. Probably one of the best, well, not the best, but maybe top 5, top 6 him album covers that they ever created. This was the first album that Ville Valo actually wrote sober. Because I think at the time he was fighting drug addiction and all that. So it shows how much, that event shaped this album. When you have songs like The Kiss of Dawn, which is probably the biggest single of the album, and probably my favorite song in here. When you have a song that's 10 minutes long and Slipping Past Hope, which, it's an adventure of its own, from the title track to Bleed Wall. I mean, this was an album that a lot of people kind of um, slept on for a lot of reasons, but it really, really got to show that the band was, you know, kind of still in the roots, and really, really helped this album become the monster that would eventually go on to be. At number 5, now this is where I'm gonna have from here on out. I have the rest on CD, except for one. Well, one I have it on CD and vinyl, which I'll get to in a bit. At number 5, of course, we have Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights. Now, Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights is a bit of an oddity. The reason I say it's an oddity because this album came out right after the huge monster success of Razorblade Romance. So it's kind of hard for a band to, create something from, again, a massive album like Razorblade Romance. It's kind of like when AC/DC wrote Back in Black and they wrote For Those About to Rock, it was hard to top. Or when Behemoth wrote The Satanist and later they wrote I Love You Darkest, was really hard to top. So the band had a lot of pressure, had a lot of commitment to, show that they could still write, amazing top tier songs. And at the time, this was during the time that they were writing it during the Razorblade Romance tour. So and Vin Levano has stated in interviews that at one point the album was going to sound different, and then management got involved because of the success of Razorblade Romance. They wanted to control more what the band would sound like, the usual typical backstage political stuff. So at the end of the day, the album just became a kind of not the album that the band wanted at first. But once you go deep into the album, you have some really amazing songs. From Salting Your Wounds to Heartache Every Moment to Love You Like I Do. A very doomy, almost close to like funeral doom song, especially the ending, the doom with the bass going so heavy, and the bells and the piano and the rain. A song like Close to Your Flame, it kind of, again, ballad. I mean, most of him songs are more ballad-esque. But to me, the standout song of the album, In Joy and Sorrow, which has a special place in my heart for obvious reasons I'm not going to say. One of the first hymn songs I actually learned to play on guitar. One of the maybe first or two songs I played on guitar, and I just remember just listening to the song, singing along, and actually crying of happiness and sadness and all that. Which that's the thing about music. It's everyone's perspective. So Deep Shadows and Brilliant Highlights at number 5. At number 4, we have Dark Light. So after the huge monster success of Love Metal, again, the same thing I mentioned before. How is the band gonna top off something as big and monstrous as Love Metal? Well, Dark Light came into the picture, and it was almost as good as Love Metal, if not a bit better. But still, I mean, when Dante's Inferno is your main inspiration for the album, it gets to show you that Ville Valo and the band were reading books, or as he stated in the Loudwire interview, he was eating books, not literally, but he was just like consuming books and knowledge. And also, I think he stated that the album name is kind of a reference to his last name, Valo, which is kind of like the light bringer, not really like Lucifer, but more like of a dark light kind of way. But who did not listen? I mean, if you had MTV, I think even if MTV was even still showing music videos, or some other music video channel, I mean, Wings of a Butterfly or Killing Loneliness. But if you go deep into the album, we have some really amazing tracks like Drunk Up Shadows, In the Nights of Eden, Under the Rose, Vampire Heart, the opening song. Again, an album that I think has gone as aged better and better. And I think it's on the I think this is the 15th anniversary this year, if I'm Mistaken. Let's see, Love Metal. No, not Love Metal. Dark Light. Actually, was it the 15th anniversary already? 15. I think no. Sorry, not the 15th anniversary. That was like 2 years ago. This is like the 17th anniversary already. But when the 15th anniversary happened of the album, the band or maybe some association of the band started promoting the album to I guess release the 15th anniversary, which again, it really helped the band to another different level of success. Now we're into the top three. Now, in the top three, this was difficult because you can go with any other of the three albums I'm about to mention. For obvious reasons, a lot of people enjoy the living bejesus out of these albums for obvious reasons. So, at my number three, I have Love Metal. Now, when I mentioned about Deep Shadows was kind of a letdown, but not really. It's more of an underrated album. If I can, probably Deep Shadows probably their most underrated album they've ever released. So after that, the band really went back to the studio and just wanted to, kick it 1,000 and just, institute themselves as this humongous gothic metal band out of Finland. And lo and behold, this monster of an album was created. When you have your opening song, Be Buried Alive by Love, my God, it's probably one of the best hymn songs they've ever written. Follow that to The Funeral of Hearts, but you go deeper, you have The Sacrament, then you have The Fortress of Tears. But to me, the outstanding song of the album, it's The Path. The way it starts, it's kind of like a wedding. When you have the dun, dun, it's kind of like when the bride is going in onto the altar and is ready to say her vows next to her love. And of course, the emotions you feel during the ritual and all that. To me, The Path is probably one of the best closing songs that him has ever written, and a good wedding song. So if a lot of hymn songs want to have that as The Path as their wedding song, I wouldn't blame you for it. But excuse me. But overall, this album took him to the next level of success. Like I said before, him wanted that success back after Razorblade and all that, but him love metal and eventually created quote unquote their own subgenre, which it's not really a subgenre, but people think it is. It's kind of in between there and there. But if there's one album that you want to easily get into him, Love Metal is my recommendation. Now we're to the top two. Now these two albums are kind of like the brother and sister, kind of like the Master Puppets to Fade in Black. You can go either or, because to me this is probably one of the best combinations that him has ever done in terms of albums and hits. But it was hard for me to choose my number one, but I had to make some tough decisions. And of course, at my number two, I have Razorblade Romance. Of course, the pink version. Now, the thing about this CD that I have, this CD is the American version of the album, which includes Your Sweet 666, which was previously on Greatest Love Songs. It includes also Wicked Games, which again wasn't previously on Love Songs. And for some weird reason, it doesn't have the song on. Let's see, it's right here. Let's see. I know there's a song that it's not in this version, which I don't know why. Probably because of legal issues or stuff like that. So just excuse me for a moment. Let's see if it's right here. Let's see if it's right here. No, that's not it. I think the only song that's not... Well, actually, no. By mistake. It's not they don't have any songs that were added or, counted out. It's just that the order of the songs is kind of be weird. But, besides the point. Razorblade Romance, the Pink album, as a lot of people like to say it. And this is the first accountability that we have the actual heartogram in a hymn album. So, after Razorblade Romance on, the heartogram is in every single album except for the first one. Of course, when you get into the album, this is probably an album that I've listened to almost as equal as Greatest Love Songs. We have songs like Join Me in Death, my God, The Monstrous, probably their biggest song they've ever written. And of course, a lot that put him into the stratosphere when it was in the 13th Floor German movie, which again kind of helped the band become more of a powerhouse in the 1990s, especially the music video. And also when you have songs like Dead is in Love with Us, Heaven Tonight, One Last Time, but Gone with the Sin. If you know me, I mean, again, Gone with the Sin is probably one of my favorite hymn songs of all time, and a song that really means a lot to me for obvious reasons. And now, my number one. If y'all have been going through the list, you kind of know which one album was left. To me, this is probably this is my favorite hymn album of all time. This is the album that got me into the band. And if you all seen the Horseman podcast episode, which is the Gothic Metal episode recently, I put this as my number one favorite Gothic Metal album of all time. And of course, I am talking about Greatest Love Songs, Volume 666. Everything about this album is pure perfection. From the lore that that the song had 66 hidden songs. Of course, some of them were hidden tracks. Was 666 and 66 minutes in length. To the whole obsession with the number 666. When you have a song like Your Sweet 666, it kind of begins to bring into your brain that you all think this is a satanic band, which when this album came out in Finland, the black metal elitists didn't like him because they were quote-unquote Satanists. The Christians didn't like him because they thought they were satanic. Even the Gothic metal scene in Finland didn't like him because of the whole, I guess, I don't know, for some weird reason, but him was not a really liked band when they first released the album. But again, when you have songs like For You, with the intro, which to this day I still say it is probably a song that should have been in the Crow movie. Just listen to that song and watch The Crow and tell me I'm not fucking wrong about it, which should have been in the movie. But you go deeper, Your Sweet 666, Wicked Games, one of the covers of the album, my god, The Heartless, Don't Fear the Reaper, the cover Blue Oyster Cult, amazing song. The Beginning of the End, Our Diabolical Rapture, In All Tears, Drowning Love. But to me, the outstanding song and my favorite hymn song of all time, When Love and Death Embrace, a slow, heavy, dark, yet sad ballad about you loving someone and kind of letting it go for obvious reasons. And even though it hurts to let them go, you're happy that they're with someone that is there for them, and you wish them all the best, but that pain is still there. And to the point that one of my good friends, Lena, she actually gave me this. She gave me the vinyl. She gave me a vinyl of the hymn because at the time she and I were kind of got into hymn together. So, for her to do that and give me probably my favorite hymn of all time, and even the album cover, I'm on Ville Valo next to Peter Steele in the 90s was sex appeal to the point. But, there's a reason why Greatest Love Song is my favorite album of all time for a lot of reasons. But, it's one of the best Gothic metal albums of all time. And like I said, my favorite hymn album of all time. And again, I treasure this album next to something, like I said, When the Shadows Force Into the Light, Back in Black, The Satanists, Primal Nameless Dead, so on and so forth. And that does it for this video. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video. Like I said, I'm trying to do more rank 'em alls that are kind of not really out there, because of course we've seen to death rank 'em alls from Metallica, Slayer, AC/DC, even though they're my favorite band of all time. I will eventually do an AC/DC rank 'em all. I want to do more weird, not really mostly unknown rank 'em alls, because I think that way a lot of new fans who want to get into the band, they kind of have a kind of a starting point to listen to the albums. And like I said, every list is subjective. So like I said, if you have your own list, let me down in the comments. I really would like to see y'all's guys list and where you rank your hymn albums. And like I said, I still have a lot of ideas that I want to bring you guys into the channel. Maybe some wrestling content, maybe some album reviews, which I still have yet to do an album review. I still need to find the right album that I want to talk to you guys about, which it's kind of difficult, and more CD collection updates, a lot of more horror stuff again. Like I said, horror things and all that. So I hope you guys really are in for the ride, and hope that this channel grows and more into this great community. And until then, stay metal.